Welcome to Talk of Africa 360, your source for insightful news, analysis, and thoughtful commentary. If you value informed perspectives and fact-based reporting, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss an update. Disclaimer: the content on this channel is based on reliable public sources and credible online information. It is intended strictly for educational and analytical purposes. We do not promote or endorse political violence, hate speech, or any form of discrimination. Our goal is to inform, not to inflame. Thanks for being here. Let's stay informed together.
All right, picture this. Lomé, the capital of Togo, is buzzing with energy. Not your usual Friday night excitement, though. On June 6th, the streets didn't just fill with cars and motorbikes. They exploded with the sound of protest. Young people, students, activists, rappers stood shoulder to shoulder, eyes fiery, voices louder than ever. What's got them so riled up? Three things, actually. First, the arrest of Amron, one of the country's hottest rap stars. Second, a hike in fuel prices that's hit everyone in the pocket. And third, a bold, controversial shake-up to the constitution. It's like a perfect storm, and Gen Z is right at the center. Now imagine this. Rows of police, shields up, firing tear gas into crowds, thinking it'll send everyone home. But these protesters, they're not backing down. Instead, they're filming, live streaming, and dancing through clouds of smoke. TikTok and Instagram light up with footage. Some defiant, some raw, some even funny. It's activism, Gen Z style. Part street, part social media, all heart. Amron's arrest was the spark. This isn't just about music. Amron's lyrics speak to frustration, hope, and the struggle of daily life in Togo. When the police took him in, it felt like a punch to the gut. Not just to his fans, but to an entire generation hungry for change. The message: if they can silence him, they can silence anyone. But Gen Z has other ideas. Fuel prices are going up, and for many that means bus rides become luxuries, food prices climb, and everyone feels squeezed. But today's youth, they're not just watching. They're marching, chanting, and refusing to let their worries be swept under a rug. And then there's this constitutional shake-up. The government's move to change the rules, possibly to keep those in power sitting comfortably a little longer, has everyone on edge. People aren't just angry, they're awake. They're asking questions, demanding answers, and refusing to be ignored. What's powerful here isn't just the protest itself, it's the way Gen Z is doing it. With every chant and every post, they're showing the world what modern rebellion looks like. Tear gas may sting, but TikTok goes viral. You can block a street, but you can't block a hashtag. Today, it's Lomé. Tomorrow, who knows? But here's what I know for sure. Change doesn't come quietly. It comes with courage, creativity, and the kind of hope you can't lock up. So if you ever wondered what a real movement looks like, look no further than the young rebels of Lomé. They're breathing new life into activism. One chant, one post, one fearless step at a time. If you're inspired, don't just watch. Let your voice be heard. Because together, we're unstoppable.
Togo rising. A nation demands its future. Togo is reaching its boiling point. For 5 decades, the nation has endured rule under the same family dynasty. Half a century of leadership has brought countless promises but very little change. Now, frustration has spilled into the streets. A powerful new chant echoes across the country. No more enough. From city dwellers to rural villagers, women, young people, traders, teachers, and labourers have united with one clear message: the time has come for the president to step down. Despite decades in power, he is pressing forward with plans to remain in office. But this time, the nation is speaking louder than ever, crying out that their patience has worn thin and that true transformation is long overdue. This is no ordinary protest. This is a pivotal moment, a collective demand for dignity, fairness, and a future untethered from the weight of history. A country with resources, but without results. Togo, home to over 6 million people, lies in West Africa's corridor of opportunity, rich in phosphate, blessed with fertile land, and bordering the Atlantic. Yet despite this wealth of potential, everyday life for most citizens remains harsh. Basic infrastructure is crumbling. Schools are underfunded, hospitals are short on supplies. The promise of development has remained just that, a promise. For 50 years, a single political lineage has dominated the country. Power shifted from father to son, and elections became symbolic gestures rather than engines of change. Each new term came with grand visions, but each ended with broken commitments. Togolese citizens kept participating in the process, hoping for jobs, for growth, for progress. But behind the scenes, the benefits of governance flowed upward, consolidating among the elite, while public institutions withered. So, when the current leader signalled another run for office, it became a breaking point. People had had enough. The spark that lit a movement. Even before the president's announcement, frustration was simmering. Online, the resistance grew. Hashtags like hashtag Togo deserves better and hashtag not another term trended across the region. Legal professionals challenged the regime in court. Civil groups mobilized. Ordinary citizens, long silenced, found their voices. Then came the moment that galvanized the nation. A viral video of a mother from Kapalam, weeping, her voice trembling as she asked, "I voted for you." Where is the change? That simple cry for accountability resonated deeply. It struck a chord among many who had asked themselves the same question. From that day, momentum surged. Small protests started in Lomé, Togo's capital. Gradually, they swelled. White-collar workers joined after office hours. Students stayed in the streets instead of their classrooms. Vendors closed shops to join the demonstrations. Villagers organized sit-ins. Farmers laid down tools. What began as isolated unrest became a coordinated national uprising. From frustration to force, radio stations across the country aired protest chants. Strikes began in key sectors. Miners and transport workers paused operations. The fast-food trade, the backbone of the economy, faced disruption. The message was unmistakable. The people were done waiting. They were ready to act, but entrenched power rarely surrenders easily. The government responded with repression, curfews, arrests, and declarations of emergency. Leaders of the movement were labelled as foreign agitators. Promises of reforms were dangled, but without commitment. Still, the people did not back down. This time, desperation had turned into unwavering determination. A nation awakens, the world watches. Solidarity protests emerged across the region from Ghana to Nigeria, even as far as Europe. Togolese communities abroad stood with their brothers and sisters at home. Religious leaders called for calm but affirmed the right to protest. Elders in the north urged dialogue. Some African leaders, though careful in their words, hinted at the need for renewal. The fear among regional elites was clear. If Togo succeeds in breaking its chains, others might follow. The president, clinging to power after 5 decades of rule, represents a recurring pattern in West Africa leaders who mistake longevity for legitimacy. But this time, the pushback was louder and broader. A night that changed everything. Then came the historic March of 100,000. It was the largest demonstration in Togo's modern history. Thousands marched peacefully through Lomé. They held candles, sang songs, and made their demands clear. Protesters chanted for their children, for their future, and for a new beginning. The atmosphere was electric, hopeful, solemn, determined. At the heart of it all was the youth. With over 60% of the population under 30, the young people of Togo formed the backbone of the movement. This was their moment. Clear demands for a shared future. Protest leaders presented 5 core demands: lift the state of emergency, hold transparent elections monitored by international observers, enact a 2-term limit for all future leaders, end the arrests of journalists and demonstrators, ensure youth representation in government decision-making. This was not rebellion for its own sake. This was a disciplined, hopeful call for dialogue and change. And in response, for the first time, the president's administration agreed to initial talks. The road ahead. The outcome is uncertain. The forces of the status quo remain strong, and history has shown how easily reform can be crushed. But something fundamental has shifted. Togo has found its voice. A new generation refuses to be sidelined. The call for accountability, justice, and opportunity can no longer be ignored. This is not merely a political movement, it is a moral one. Real power, it turns out, doesn't reside in palaces, it resides in people. And when they rise together, they become unstoppable. Whatever lies ahead, Togo has crossed a threshold. It is no longer the nation it was. And for those who marched, resisted, and believed, This is just the beginning. This is Togo rising.
As reactions continue to pour in from across the continent, one thing is clear. Africa is demanding respect, sovereignty, and accountability. Was this just a diplomatic misstep or a deeper sign of shifting global alliances? We'll be watching closely. If you found this story important, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more real, unfiltered African news. This is Talk of Africa 360, telling the stories that matter.